Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on the Everlast Elite 2 retail boxing gloves. So check it out. Hey guys, Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on the Everlast Elite 2 retail boxing gloves. Got mine in the gold and black colorway. 14 ounces. It is a Velcro closure only model. You get these anywhere between 8 and 16 ounces as well as 10 total different colorways. So a huge variety of colors as well as sizes to choose from. The glove itself is made of a synthetic polyurethane outside casing. It's the same material you find on all of Everlast retail entry-level equipment, whether you buy it from a sporting goods or a retailer. It's the same type of synthetic material. So if you're familiar with the type of synthetic that Everlast uses, it's pretty much the same thing. Then it uses a 3-layer foam composition over the knuckle area that has a medium to soft consistency to it. I'll discuss this in more detail here in a little bit in terms of how it feels and the level of protection that you get from this padding. And the gloves are manufactured in China. Now, this is going to be the successor to the original Elite retail gloves. The biggest difference between this and the original, outside of the aesthetics, obviously this has more colors to choose from, but the biggest difference is going to be the Velcro strap. Now, the originals just had a strap that came from the side, and you would basically pull the tab over and then it would attach to the other side. So it was a really just cheap and not supportive at all. And there's a lot of the older Everlast gloves, I believe the Everlast Primes, and some other Everlast gloves that just use that really cheap Velcro strap system. It's almost like a toy, almost. So you would just go across and it wouldn't even wrap around the glove. So this is gonna be the biggest change on this glove other than the aesthetics, and really the only change in my opinion. Everything else about the glove structurally, the size, the type of padding, the material on the exterior, even the mesh palm is pretty much the same from the original glove. The biggest difference here is gonna be that tapered Velcro strap, which is an improvement over the original. I would have liked to see more changes to the glove in my opinion, but again, that's really the only thing in my opinion that they've done differently than the originals. Now, from a design standpoint, again, pretty much the same as the originals. You have that synthetic, mine is in this gold colorway. I'd say the gold on here, it does not look matte, and it's not obviously metallic or shiny. It's kind of right there in the middle. I do like the sheen of gold on here. It's not super flashy and metallic and blinding, so I do definitely like the gold color. You do have Everlast that's written vertically on the back of the hand compartment. Again, nothing too crazy here. Gold Everlast logo contrasting with the black synthetic. It also says Elite vertically down on this Velcro strap. 3.5-inch Velcro strap that wraps all the way around this time. And it also tapers up higher to give you a little bit more support on the lower portion of your hand, or should I say your palm, the fat part of your palm, rather than it just being below onto your wrist. So you have a little bit more support in that regard. Coming over and opening up the glove, you have a synthetic polyester nylon liner on the inside, about an inch of, I'd say, firm density foam padding on the back of the wrist. I'd say that this is a little bit improved over the originals as well. And then you also have, I'd say maybe 1/8 of an inch of soft density foam padding on the inside of the wrist that comes up to right where the stitching here, and then right about here on that side. Elastic that keeps it together. Synthetic mesh. I know a lot of you guys don't like mesh, but it's the same thing as like the original Elite. You have that synthetic mesh. You have a grip bar here. It's firm, but it's really small. Would have been nice to have a larger grip bar. You also have the tags that indicate the weight. So it says Everlast, 14 ounces. You also have just kind of like the warning label, purchase order number, manufacturing date. These were made in May of this year. So you have all that information down there. Also made in China. 54% nitrile rubber, polyurethane, polyester, and ethylene vinyl acetate. So a lot of chemical, technical terms in what's used in this glove, but that's basically the materials they use on here. And then you also have a nylon attached thumb. Again, same thing that you had on some of their other previous models with the budget line, the retail line, where you have nylon instead of a genuine, or should I say a synthetic leather that they use. So they use a nylon attached thumb. Now, quality wise, You know, the gloves are okay. You know, when you're at this entry level point, obviously you're not going to put it on the same platform as you would the higher end gloves, the Winnings, the nice Phenoms, the Flies, you name it. You're not going to put it up there and compare that because it's just a completely different level of a glove. But for a synthetic glove, it's decent. The big thing that I don't really like is just the quality of the foam they use in here. It has a medium to soft density to it, but it's not very protective at all, especially on, in my opinion, on some of the more densely filled heavy bags that I use this on, like the Nozzle bag, the Prolast. I mean, you can really feel your knuckles pierce through and feel a lot of the shock of your punch go through with this padding. And it's kind of deceptive in that way, where when you push down on it with your fingers, you're like, okay, it feels like once I really compress down into it, it feels good. But it's really deceptive in the fact that when I would land my punches, I would just feel a little bit of discomfort over my knuckles. So that's, to me, the biggest, I guess, flaw in terms of quality. You know, everything else, I won't really say it's a flaw per se because it's designed this way, but obviously you have the synthetic, and the synthetic that Everlast uses is a little bit thinner, it has a tackier feel to it. It's not like the microfiber that Rival uses or some of the other companies, MK1 Boxing. You know, they use a thicker and a just more robust type of synthetic microfiber, where, you know, obviously this entry level Everlast stuff just doesn't feel as thick. And I even did the review on the Elite 2 Pro level gloves a couple weeks back, and that one uses a synthetic as well, excuse me, and that synthetic is obviously way better than this one, thicker, just a better quality synthetic. But again, it still would be nice that even at their retail level, the entry level, they use something a little bit just more durable. And the reason I say that is because I've seen, you know, gloves from other manufacturers, especially some of the generic manufacturers you see like on Amazon or like AliExpress, Alibaba, that have gloves in that $40 to $50 range, and they use a better quality synthetic or something similar, and they're even at a more fair price point. So that's just my qualms in terms of the quality. Obviously you have the synthetic mesh on the palm. Not a lot of people are a fan of that. Just in terms of like durability. The other thing with this is that if you throw this into your gym bag, oftentimes you have your hand wraps on there, your hand wraps in there, and sometimes the Velcro gets stuck to this mesh, and then when you pull it off, it like tears it up and it makes the mesh fray. So durability, the mesh, you know, obviously from a breathability standpoint, it's nice, but you know, you're sweating so much anyways. I don't think really a lot of people even put that on top of their priority list in terms of what's important to them when it comes to the glove. So obviously a synthetic mesh. One good thing going on for this glove though is that it's well balanced. So if you grab the back of the glove, they do a nice job of distributing the weight with the glove, and the weight of the glove is almost on point. It's at 13.7 ounces when I put them on the scale. This is a 14-ounce glove as advertised, so they're pretty much on point with weight. I mean, I've seen some nice quality gloves be pretty off when it comes to weight. Obviously the Mexican-made gloves are notorious for that, but the fact that this is the retail entry-level glove and they're pretty close to weight, that's definitely a nice thing. But again, I would say the biggest thing is just obviously your expectations for a synthetic glove. They're not going to be as high as other premium gloves, but these are decent. I mean, the stitching on here looks pretty solid throughout the back of the glove. The palm side looks pretty clean. So in terms of stitching, really there's no flaws there. The material, again, looks pretty nice. You can see some nicks right here. I have a little bit of an abrasion from me using this. I think I got that from the wall bag. I was hitting a wall bag and it just kind of abrased the material. So again, the life expectancy for this type of material, the synthetic, it's not going to be as high. But in terms of the actual like craftsmanship, the workmanship, it all looks pretty solid. Right there at the bottom, the piping, you know, no threads. I will say this, a lot of the earlier Everlast gloves from years ago, like the pro style gloves from like 5 to 10 years ago that you would get from like Walmart, man, those were pretty bad. Actually, they were really bad. So if you were to like take this and like compare it to those older like Everlast retail gloves from 5-10 years ago, this is definitely better. I remember those gloves. I mean, there would be like threads sticking out. The glove was way off weight. They would just feel floppy. They would just feel super generic, like a toy, like an afterthought, basically. Like if you were to buy a heavy bag and they threw in a pair of free gloves, those would be the free gloves they would throw in with that heavy bag. And I feel like these are not an afterthought. Like they actually put, you know, some time and energy into developing a decent retail line. I definitely feel there's improvements with that though. So comfort wise, sliding your hand into the glove, they're actually really comfortable. I mean, the liner on the inside, the only area I feel a little bit of, I wouldn't even say discomfort, but just bunching up, it's gonna be right here where my index finger is. A little bit of excess material right there. But the thumb positioning is good. It's not too tight. You know, the tip of the thumb isn't too shallow. It doesn't feel like I jam my thumb. And you know, it's a synthetic glove that has a mesh palm. So it's really easy to open and close my hand to parry shots. So in terms of being broken in, it's a completely broken in glove. The depth of the finger compartment is good too for, you know, a 14-ounce glove. Not too wide, not too narrow. I don't feel like my fingers collapse on each other. So in terms of sizing for a 14-ounce glove, I think it's pretty much the perfect size and profile and shape. So thumb feels good. Grip bar could definitely be bigger. I really don't feel it at all when I close my hand and make a fist. I feel like the grip bar is just, that feels like an afterthought. So it would have been nice to have a really nice thick grip bar to grip onto. And they have the liner on the inside that they use to kind of cover the stitching. So overall, the comfort is definitely there. I feel like they're pretty comfortable. The wrist support feels good as well. It comes higher up and you can see they kind of definitely put more of a emphasis on wrist support compared to the outgoing model. Protection performance wise, this again, like I mentioned earlier, you can really feel the shock of the shot when you land with these gloves. Like even right now on this Rival corn bag, you get a good amount of pop, but I could definitely feel my knuckles really pierce through, and it doesn't give you a lot of shock absorption if that's what you're looking for. So again, just kind of tempering your expectations with this glove. Good for the mitts. I enjoy using these on the mitts, you know, obviously for sparring. If you're a beginner and you're starting off in sparring, you get yourself, depending on your weight class, 14 or 16-ounce sparring gloves. I think these would do a decent job. I don't think the padding is an issue for sparring, but in terms of longevity, shock absorption, you know, this padding, I've had a pair before and the padding over just like a month or two started to really break down on the inside, especially if you're using these every day. So definitely be wary of that. But I'd say that in terms of protection, these are more on the least protective side, you know, performance wise. I feel the padding can definitely be improved. You know, maybe use a higher grade of closed cell and open cell foam with maybe like an EVA sheet, something there to give you a little bit more protection. That would take this glove to the next level in terms of having a better padding system. You know, because you could use layered foam, and I like layered foam over molded foam any day of the week. The issue is what kind of layered foam are you using, and is it the type that's really going to give the user the feedback, the pop, and the protection that they're looking for. So essentially that's kind of where you're trying to find is that perfect blend. Cost-wise, these gloves are $54.99. So if you want to round up, $55. You know, it's a decent price point. Now, you know, obviously if you can get free shipping, you know, I'd say that these gloves are pretty good for the price. The only thing is, once you start to look at other gloves that are probably like in the 70, 80, you know, sub $100 range. I'll just say sub 100. I won't even say 70, 80 because if you're at 55, you consider shipping. Maybe you're looking at like 65, 70-ish for these gloves. You know, by then, if you're at that sub $100 range, I can list a couple of other gloves that I think are superior to these in that $100 range that are, you know, genuine leather, have better foam. So these are solid for what they are, but at the price point, if you're really stuck at that $55, $60 mark and you can't go anything above that, then I think these would be a solid choice for you. If you're willing to spend a little bit more, as I would, then I would probably jump to the next tier, just because the biggest thing for me is going to be this foam is going to be something that's going to break down a lot quicker, and I just don't like the way it feels, especially when I'm using it on bag work. So again, there's kind of pros and cons to that. You just have to weigh it out in terms of your budget and what you're willing to spend. But those are my thoughts when it comes to the cost of these gloves. If you guys have any questions or comments, as usual, you guys know what to do. Just put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box or where you can find these Everlast Elite 2 retail boxing gloves. See you guys later. Peace.